sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.
All right, so ready to dive into the career of Mikey Madison. Most people probably know her from, that Oscar win for Anora recently.
Right.
But we're going way beyond just that one movie. We've got this Screen Rant article, and wow, there's some really interesting roles in here. I think we're going to see a whole different side of her.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's really cool to see a actress taking on so many different types of roles, especially this early in her career. Makes you wonder what draws her to a particular part. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And speaking of Anora, though, I mean, we got to talk about that Oscar win. 93% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics. That's huge. And then the audience score is 89%.
But yeah, definitely. That movie really resonated with people.
Yeah.
And, for her to win Best Actress over, Demi Moore was the favorite, right? For The Substance.
Right, yeah.
So for Madison to take that home, it really says something about just how powerful her performance was.
Absolutely. So, what else is in here? Okay, so the Screen Rant article starts with Better Things, which, you might not be familiar with it, but it's the show about a divorced actress raising 3 daughters. It's a comedy drama. And Madison plays the oldest daughter, Max.
What's so interesting about this role, I think, is that it could have been, super easy to just fall into that, typical angry teenager stereotype.
Yeah.
But Madison really brought something else to it. There are these moments where you see her trying to be mature and independent, even though she's still dealing with, typical teenage stuff.
Yeah. And it's all happening kind of in the background of, Pamela Adlon's story. So it would have been really easy for her performance to just get completely lost.
Oh, yeah.
But she totally holds her own. If you want to see a really nuanced performance from her that shows her range, I think Better Things is definitely worth checking out. And bonus, it's on Hulu.
Oh, nice.
Easy to find.
Okay, so let's move on to a project that really, kind of put her on the map. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah, now we're talking.
I mean, come on, Quentin Tarantino, Hollywood in 1969. You've got DiCaprio, Brad Pitt. It's the whole package.
The whole shebang, yeah. And Madison's right in the middle of it, playing Susan Sadie Atkins, one of the Manson family. Yeah. It's definitely a smaller role, compared to DiCaprio and Pitt. But, man, she really makes an impact. Especially in the climax of the film where, I don't want to give too much away, but let's just say it's a pretty pivotal scene.
Yeah.
And kind of unsettling. It's
amazing to think that she was able to, hold her own alongside those huge names, especially in a Tarantino film. She doesn't get lost at all.
Yeah.
There's this quiet intensity to her acting that just pulls you in.
For sure. And Once Upon a Time is all over the place, streaming-wise. So it's easy to find if you haven't seen it. All right, let's shift gears completely. Let's talk about Scream, the reboot from 2022.
Another reboot.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Another reboot. But you know what? This one actually did pretty well.
It did, yeah. And it's cool to see Madison doing horror. She plays Amber Freeman in this one, who's best friends with one of the sisters being targeted by Ghostface.
Right.
I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say she delivers a pretty memorable performance.
Oh, yeah, she really does. She just has a way of, leaving a mark on you, even if she's playing a character who's, a little rough around the edges, to put it nicely. Scream is on Netflix and Paramount Plus, so, if you feel like revisiting Woodsboro, it's out there.
So we've seen her do, comedy drama, a Tarantino movie, and now horror. It's pretty incredible how different each of these roles are. It seems like she's drawn to projects that let her, really explore different emotions and characters.
Totally. I wonder what it is about these specific roles that calls out to her. What is it about Mikey Madison that lets her bring so much depth to these characters, no matter what genre she's doing?
That's a great question. Maybe it's a certain vulnerability, that she can tap into. It's she can say so much with just her eyes or a small gesture.
Yeah, that's true. Or maybe it's that she just isn't afraid to take on challenging roles, she's not afraid to push the boundaries or show a darker side.
Definitely. Either way, I don't think it's a stretch to say that Mikey Madison is, she's way more than just a pretty face in Hollywood. She's the real deal. And I think she's got a pretty amazing future ahead of her.
And we're going to talk all about that future right after this break.
All right. So we've definitely seen that Mikey Madison has, some serious range, going from these smaller films to Tarantino to straight up horror,
Yeah. And it's interesting because she hasn't really been pigeonholed. You know what I mean? She hasn't gotten stuck in one specific kind of role.
Right.
Think about it. She's done these indie films, worked with Tarantino, and she's got a TV series under her belt. And now, of course, she's an Oscar winner.
Yeah. It's like she's making a career out of, defying expectations. Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it so hard to, like, predict what she's going to do next.
Mm-hmm.
Is you got to stick with indie films where she can really, explore a character like Anora, or will she try, like, I don't know, a big action movie? I have no idea.
I think she's going to keep surprising us. Remember how different she looked in Once Upon a Time compared to Better Things? It wasn't just the clothes and hair. It was like her whole way of moving,
Yeah, exactly. It's like she becomes a completely different person in every role. She's not afraid to, like, get down and dirty, really embody somebody totally different from herself.
Right.
That kind of, like, chameleon quality makes me think that she could be an amazing character actor,
For sure. And with that Oscar win, especially so early in her career, it gives her so much freedom, to choose the project she really wants to do.
Right.
So what kinds of roles do you think she would be, like, really good at? What would you want to see her do next?
Oh, man. That is a tough one. Part of me wants to see her go full-on method, like in a biopic, playing some historical figure or musician. Yeah. I think she has the intensity to really pull that off.
Yeah, I could see that. Or maybe something totally different, like a sci-fi epic or something, where she could be like a warrior or a space explorer, I mean, possibilities are kind of endless.
Yeah. But before we go too crazy, let's get back to Anora for a minute. It's a movie that deals with some pretty, heavy stuff, like finding where you belong, family expectations, figuring out who you are. Mm-hmm. What really stood out to you about her performance in that movie?
For me, it was the quiet moments. There's this one scene where she's just sitting alone, looking out at the city, and you can just, like, feel everything she's going through. It's not a big dramatic scene, but it's so powerful because of how real Madison makes it feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. There's a real honesty in her acting, that just pulls you in. And she's not afraid to just let those quiet moments be. It's not about, like, big gestures or being super emotional. It's about showing, what's going on inside of a character who's trying to find their way.
Right.
And I think that's why connecting with people so much, especially younger people who are dealing with those same things.
Absolutely. It's like she gets at something universal, that feeling of being lost and wanting something more out of life. And she does it in such a, like, genuine way.
Yeah.
I mean, no wonder she won the Oscar.
Definitely well-deserved. And it kind of shows that even with all the, like, superhero movies and big action films, there's still a place for movies that are, about the characters and their emotions.
And speaking of those big budget movies, it's interesting that Madison hasn't just done those. She's done Tarantino, but she also worked with Pamela Adlon on Better Things, which has this really intimate indie feel.
And then, of course, Scream, which is, a whole other thing altogether.
Yeah.
It was a big studio movie. Yeah. But it still had a lot of heart. It's like she's trying to work with different kinds of filmmakers and really learn from them.
Totally. It shows that she's really dedicated to her craft, Like, she wants to keep learning and growing as an actress. That's something I think a lot of young actors could learn from. Mm. It's not about being famous or getting rich. It's about pushing yourself and getting better at what you do.
Yeah, and it seems like she's got a talent for picking projects that, people really respond to. Yeah. Both critics and, regular viewers. Yeah. It's like she wants to tell stories that actually matter.
Totally. It's like she's building a legacy one role at a time. So what kind of legacy do you think she's creating?
That's an interesting question. Mm-hmm. I think she's on her way to becoming one of those actors who's known for being able to play anyone,
Yeah.
To disappear into any role and bring something special to every character she plays.
Yeah, and maybe she'll kind of pave the way for other actors, who are more interested in, like, actually doing good work than just being a celebrity.
I like that. Yeah, it's nice to see someone who's obviously so talented and, has big goals, but also seems really down to earth and focused on the craft of acting.
So we've talked about a lot today, from that Oscar win to, horror movies. And it's pretty clear that Mikey Madison is, she's a force to be reckoned with. But before we go, I'm kind of curious, if you had to recommend just one of her movies or shows to someone who'd never seen her work before, what would you pick and why?
Oh, man, that is a tough one. I mean, each of her performances is so different. They all show you, like, a different side of what she can do. Mm. But if I had to choose just one, I think I'd probably go with Better Things. It's such a beautifully done show. It explores all the complicated parts of family relationships. Madison's performance as Max, I mean, it's both heartbreaking and heartwarming, you know. You really see her range in that role, her ability to show all these different emotions in this really subtle and authentic way. Plus, it's just a great show. The writing's fantastic, and the whole cast is amazing.
I think that's a great choice. Better Things really shows how she can like shine even when she's not the main character. And for people who are looking for something, you know, a little more on the edge, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, this is definitely worth a watch. It's such a visually stunning movie, really makes you think. And Madison as Susan Atkins is both like chilling and totally unforgettable.
For sure. That role shows you a completely different side of her.
Yeah.
And it shows how fearless she is as an actor, you know? She's not afraid to go to some pretty dark places, and she's so convincing that you just can't look away.
So whether you're in the mood for, you know, a family drama that will really pull at your heartstrings or a thriller that will keep you on the edge of your seat, Mikey Madison has something for everyone. It's been so much fun doing this deep dive into her career, and I can't wait to see what she does next.
Yeah, me too. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about her for a long time, you know? She's got real talent, and I think her best is yet to come.
Well, that's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of Mikey Madison. We hope you enjoyed exploring her filmography with us, and maybe you're even inspired to check out some of her work if you haven't already. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the things that fascinate you.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.